They should have never let the Bengals do this. They signed a specimen after the draft at their biggest position of need, and his future with the team is one to keep a very close eye on. Welcome back to Bengals Digest, everyone. I'm Adam Mugnaini. Thank you so much for joining us here today. We have a brand new Bengal that we're going to be diving into today, and he's talked about as one of the best undrafted free agent fits for the Bengals and the NFL in general. Before we get too far into today's video, though, I did want to do two things. First of all, I want to shout out our subscribers who have been helping us push to 5,000 subs. If you notice you're part of that 70% who watch and are not yet subscribed, go ahead and join us. It's completely free to do so. Help us reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers. We appreciate the support that you guys have been showing the channel lately, especially since the draft. Michael and I have been trying to keep you guys up to date on all things before the season. This is a little bit of a lull period in time between the draft and the season beginning. So we're trying to keep you guys up to date on all off-season stuff because not every channel can promise doing that. And we've got you covered here on Bengals Digest. And the other thing I wanted to mention is today's video is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 sports picks app, and it's the best way you can get in on all the action. We'll dive into some crazy picks and some awesome promotions later on, but be sure to click the link in the description below, as well as the pinned comment, and use code DIGEST when you sign up. New users play $5 and get $50 instantly in lineups when they sign up with Prize Picks. So we appreciate your guys' support on that. Like I said, it really does help out the channel. So for today's news, we are diving into the Athletic's 2026 NFL Draft's best undrafted free agent fits, one free agent to watch on each roster. And I think I'm going to very much agree with what they state for the Bengals here. The author of this article is Nick Baumgardner, and the guy who he has as the Bengals' best fit that they picked up as an undrafted free agent is linebacker Eric Gentry out of USC. And we've covered him a little bit here on the channel when he was first signed and picked up. But let's dive a little bit deeper because this is a very interesting player in a room that definitely could use some work. One of the worst units in the league last year. I know I feel like I'm mentioning that in almost every other video that I'm talking about linebackers, but it's got to be mentioned for some of those newcomers, maybe some of you who didn't follow the Bengals as closely last season, but this is a guy to watch. Look at his stats. You're not going to see a whole lot of crazy things, but 9 career sacks, 9 forced fumbles. The one that I really like is the passes defended, as well as 2 interceptions on the career. That's pretty good for a linebacker, 12 passes defended. And this guy is, I said specimen in the beginning. He really is. I mean, you look at him even just in this image here, you can't necessarily tell from there, but this guy is long. He is not built like a normal linebacker, and he's very unique, and I think he's going to turn a lot of heads. He's already turning heads of some people across the league, especially there in the Bengals training or rookie minicamp. Here's his PFF grade from 2025 at a 72, which is, better than middle of the pack when you're talking about linebackers. He's in that first quarter of linebackers out of the 809 that were graded, quarter or so, I should say. And a 72 grade really is not bad. You saw his stats a minute ago. It's nothing crazy, but about what you would expect out of a undrafted free agent, and a pretty solid score nonetheless. So what do they have to say about him? Here is what the Athletic states. Nick Baumgardner stated that he is an extremely long off-ball linebacker. He stands at 6'6", 221 with 35-inch arms. He's got outstanding agility. He's an old school tweener without a true position. He's too light to be an edge, but too athletic to not be on the field somewhere. I was surprised he went undrafted, even if he is a project. And this, I like seeing that because you talk about when you're shocked that someone is undrafted, it shows the potential. And I see the potential as well. I really do. You look at his length, his size. Is he built like a normal NFL linebacker? No. But who's to say that he can't bulk up a little bit and kind of move on and prove himself that, he should have been picked at some point in the draft. Now, speaking of picks, as promised, I did want to bring you guys, before we wrap up here, my picks on Prize Picks. We've got NBA playoff action going on tonight. We've got Cleveland and Detroit. That's the game that I'm making these picks on, and we're going to go more on Evan Mobley for 3.5 assists, and we're going to go more on 19.5 for Cade Cunningham points. A little bit local in Cleveland, it's actually in Detroit, but still relatively local compared to most NBA teams here in Cincinnati. But those are the picks I'm going to lock in tonight. Again, be sure to click the link down in the description below. They do have a sweepstakes going on right now where if you make a live NBA player pick during the playoffs, so as long as you do it before June 1st, make a $5 or more lineup with at least one live pick, you will win a chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals, which, if you're going to be making picks anyway, you might as well do it live and do it with Prize Picks. Again, be sure to click the link down in the description below. New users play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups, and be sure to use code DIGEST to really help out the channel. So to wrap up here, again, a guy that is going to, I think, fill in pretty well. I really do think that he's going to make this roster, even if it is a special teams guy. You look at who they have in this depth chart at will. You can see him there, the last name listed. You got Demetrius Knight, you got Barrett Carter, you got Oren Burks, and then there's a big gap, right? And some of these other guys that are a little bit more unproven, Jack Dingle also being one of those that we've talked about a little bit. That went undrafted. And, I think that it definitely makes sense considering how this linebacking core played last season, that he could earn himself a spot on this roster. Here's what Patrick Judas out of Cincy Jungle has to say about him. He said he flashed some great instincts and coverage ability at USC, but one of the biggest issues right now is that he'll simply get overwhelmed strength-wise if he were to go out there. He also had some issues with missed tackles, having 15 last season, which you hate to see as a Bengals fan, which with that defense having a lot of missed tackles last season. It certainly will be interesting to see how he develops over the next few years. You can make a case for a practice squad level player, but his size and athletic ability might be nice to have on special teams early on. If anyone can mold him, it is defensive coordinator Al Golden. And I didn't even think about this until now, but the special teams ability he mentions, imagine a guy like that, 6'6", very long and athletic, very long wingspan, going up there in the middle or around the outside to block kicks. That's something I'd like to see personally. You get him a little bit, say he blocks 2 kicks. I'd say that's a heck of a signing as an undrafted free agent, even if that's all he does this season. So these guys can make an impact. It could come in one of the most crucial times in the season. You just never know with these kind of guys. And, again, it's Al Golden. Maybe he can shape him into exactly what Gentry, his potential, says that he's supposed to be. Because I really think that he has the athleticism. I think it's probably going to take a year or two. And with this position, it kind of does already at linebacker, and we're kind of seeing the growing pains of that right now on this Bengals roster. But this is a guy who, have we seen him touch the NFL field yet? No. But he's a guy I would absolutely keep my eye on in, training camp, OTAs, and preseason, and hopefully he gets his shot to make the 53-man roster, because I think he's a guy who could develop into something really special. Because you think about it, they're talking about it, he's standing out because he's very unique as a build. He looks like an NBA player, and he's playing linebacker. And I think this could definitely be something the Bengals use to their advantage going forward, and something that I'm really excited to see where his potential maxes out. But with all that being said, we're just going to have to wait and see. And this has been Adam and Yanni with Bengals Digest.